What is going on, guys? Matt Downs with Daily Grind Fantasy Sports here to give you the edge for this 10/27 NBA slate on DraftKings. Cannot wait to break it down. If you guys are brand new to this channel, we provide both free and paid content for all daily fantasy sports across all sports. If you could please show your support by hitting that subscribe button, notification bell, and of course smashing that like button for all of our future NBA content. If you would like to know more about becoming a better DFS player and taking down that big GBP, head over to www.dgfantasy.com. On dgfantasy.com, we give you cheat sheets for every major sport, along with ownership projections, actual projections, and strategy for every single slate. We also cover optimal cash plays as well as preferred GBP plays and stacks for specific contest sizes. We do the dirty work for you. We are also currently partnered with Fantasy Cruncher, the best optimizer in the industry. When signing up for our $30 package, you also get a $20 credit to use towards any Fantasy Cruncher product. We provide the best value in the industry. Now let's go ahead and dive right into this 10/27 NBA slate on DraftKings. Yesterday, I want to talk about our success. I personally cashed in everything. Played the chalk. Obviously, the chalk came from the Lakers and the Spurs. I ended up having the exact chalk lineup as most of the sharks around in the industry, the exact same lineup as Tripoli Addict. So I did cash very easily in double ups and also some smaller GBPs. I just played the smaller contests since there was so much chaos going on before lock. Life of a content creator. But on this slate, guys, if you guys want to sign up for dgfantasy.com, we have some new subscriptions. We have Fantasy Cruncher subscriptions on top of our all access packages. So if you sign up for our FC memberships for the weekly packages, you get $4 off any Fantasy Cruncher product. And if you sign up for an annual package, you now get $50 off any Fantasy Cruncher product. So if you want to sign up for an NBA season on Fantasy Cruncher to use their optimizer, I believe their light packages go about $20 a month. So you guys can get a free package there with Fantasy Cruncher if you sign up for a $30 monthly package and then use that $20 voucher to any Fantasy Cruncher product, preferably if you are an NBA player. But let's go ahead and go over the NBA injury report for today's slate. I always start out with this because it gives us a good idea of where the injuries are, the pending injury news. If somebody does get ruled out, it changes the entire landscape of the slate, changes the entire chalk, the ownership, all that good stuff. And by the way, we will update all this a little bit closer to lock. Can't guarantee a live stream today, unfortunately, because it looks like TJ is running into some more errands around lock time. So I don't know if we're going to be able to go live. Regardless, we'll be posting all this content to our website. Starting out with Charlotte, we still have Terry Rozier and PJ Washington out. That does affect that usage just a little bit there in Charlotte. Not enough to really draw too much attention to them, but still, enough to make some good GPP options. With Orlando, the exact same picture we've seen since the season has started, so nothing going on there. With Washington, nothing going on. Raul Neto is technically questionable. If he is ruled out, then yes, I would give a bump to some of these backup guards, but really, as a whole, nothing going on there. With Boston, Al Horford is probable. Langford is questionable. Doesn't really impact that picture too much. Atlanta, nothing really going on. If Gallinari is ruled out, then yes, that will technically affect their usage, but still not too much going on there in Atlanta. With the Pelicans, we have Zion. Zion is officially out, but he's been out for the entire season so far, so it doesn't really impact that picture either. Going down the list here, we have Miami. Victor Oladipo still out. Kyrie Irving still out for Brooklyn. Doesn't impact that picture whatsoever. This is a good matchup, though. I'm very intrigued in this matchup as a whole. Should be a good competitive Eastern Conference final preview, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Going down the list here, we have Indiana. They are deeming Caris LeVert as questionable. That is obviously very impactful. Very excited to see him back on the court. Definitely will into the usage of all of these guys in here in the starting lineup. Will hurt them. Caris LeVert is a very good scorer, and as we know, a high usage player. Switching over to Toronto, here we have Siakam and Watanabe out. They've been out here for a little bit, so it doesn't really impact that picture that much, but the salaries are still pretty low on some of these Toronto players. We'll talk about them here in a little bit. With Minnesota and Milwaukee, a high-paced game. Nothing going on the Minnesota side. With Milwaukee, Bobby Portis is probable. He was questionable last game, but now he is probable. So if he does play here, which he should, does impact the picture just a little bit off the bench. Bobby Portis is a high-usage player. DiVincenzo, Drew Holiday still out, and Brook Lopez. So yes, it does affect the usage here as a whole. Milwaukee, guys like Giannis do benefit. Same thing with Chris Middleton. Switching over to the Lakers, this is the big pending injury news that we have to pay attention to because LeBron James was ruled out yesterday, a little bit closer to lock. As you guys know, I did benefit here, went to Russell Westbrook and Anthony Davis. However, Anthony Davis did hurt his knee in the fourth quarter. Feels like I feel like his knee is always hurt at this point in the season. If he is ruled out, then yes, bump to LeBron James if he plays. And if these both are out, then Russell Westbrook chalk night. So we'll be paying attention to the Lakers news. If there is any injury news that does change up till lock. I will pin a post in the YouTube comment section below and update you guys with my favorite plays here from the Lakers. With OKC, nothing going on there. They are coming off a back-to-back. Same thing with the Lakers, so this should be an interesting contest. Should be a lot of back and forth offense. A lot of sloppy play in general. Down here to Sacramento, nothing going on there. As we see, they are fully healthy, which is great news for the Sacramento Kings. With the Phoenix Suns, we have Payne and Darius Saric still out. Nothing impacts them. Dillon Brooks is still out for the Memphis Grizzlies. Nothing impacting them. However, these price tags are very, very low, and this is the highest over-under on the slate. So we will revisit these teams here in a little bit. Nothing really going on with Portland. And then with Cleveland, nothing going on. Looks like Isaac Okoro is probable, should play. And then with the Clippers, the same injury report that we're used to seeing. Paul George is still playing that full usage role here without Kawhi Leonard on the court. All right, now let's flip over to the price tags, who are my favorite chalk plays. We do have ownership and my favorite GPP plays here on the slate. Now, the big difficulty here is condensing all these players across the entire slate. This is a 10-game slate, so 20 teams, into a very small player pool, and then deeming my favorite cash plays, my favorite GPP plays, but I've done that for you. So keep in mind, we'll be skipping a lot of the more irrelevant teams here. Games with lower over-unders, like the Orlando-Charlotte game we'll be starting out with. That's not really relevant. Atlanta, the Pelicans, looks like that game's not really appealing in terms of the price tags. So yes, I'm going to be cutting out a lot of the fluff and just going through my most obvious plays here on this slate per our projections. All right, but let's go ahead and start out by talking about Charlotte and Orlando. I'll pull up my notes here on the right sides just so I don't get lost. With the Charlotte Hornets, nothing going on here. Like I said, ownership is higher on some of these players without Terry Rozier. Obviously, he's been out, and there's another guy missing. Terry Rozier and PJ Washington. Doesn't really impact him too much. The price tags have come up. LaMelo Ball is a decent GPP option here at 6.5%. But other than that, not too much interest here in the Charlotte Hornets. With Orlando, there's one guy I want to talk about here, Mo Bamba. He is technically cash viable. Projected right now at 34.5 points. Comes out to a 5.56 point per dollar value and just has been feasting down low. He's playing around 30 minutes every single game. Has played 34 in the past 2 out of 3 contests. Gotta love to see the minute upside there with Mo Bamba. Plus, he averages 1.23 fantasy points per minute once he is on the court. Some of these other guys that are carrying ownership, Cole Anthony went ballistic 2 games ago, dropped 66.5 points. I'm not really a believer there. 6.1K. He's going to have his boom and bust games, but Mo Bamba is going to be your safest option, and I do consider him cash viable. The next stretch of games are honestly pretty brutal here. Washington in a bad matchup versus the Celtics. All these guys are just going to be GPP plays for me. Same exact thing for Boston. They have all their superstars back here with Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Robert Williams is playing, and all these guys' ownerships are just pretty low. So they're all GPP options for me. Not the best matchup for the Wizards, but a better matchup here for Boston. So I do like the upside. If you want to take a stab on somebody like Jason Tatum, he's not going to be high owned whatsoever, and he's been absolutely balling. Next matchup here is Atlanta and the Pelicans. Technically not on the list here in terms of Fantasy Cruncher, but I'm just going to straight up say it. I don't like any of these plays from Atlanta Pelicans. Like I said, guys, this stretch here is brutal. And then flipping over to the Miami game. Miami, again, not too much interest here. The price tag on Jimmy Butler, $8,800, is probably the most appealing to me at 5.5% ownership. We have him projected for 46.5 points. So I don't hate him as a GPP option, but other than that, this is a pace-up spot. Bam Adebayo, I'm still not in love with these plays. I'll be getting to more relevant plays here a little bit later on. But flipping over to the Brooklyn Nets side, this is where we start to find their first value. This is all going to come down to whether Bruce Brown actually starts or not, because if he starts, which he did last game, he played 30 minutes and he got pretty close to his price point. He hit exactly his price point. He has to hit 17 DK points to hit that. Is projected 28 minutes. So if he does start at $3,700, see, this is a more obvious play. We know Bruce Brown is kind of there for his defense. He's averaging 0.91 fantasy points per minute over the past 2 seasons. So I don't mind him. I do think he's going to be a little bit more chalky, but right now he's showing 1.4% ownership. So I love this as a GPP option here from Bruce Brown in terms of value. Going down the list here, we have the Pacers. On the Pacers side, not too much interest, like I said, with Caris LeVert especially back. I'm off all these guys. It's going to eat into the usage of Chris Duarte at 5.6K. That's going to be a little bit overpriced. Same thing with Malcolm Brogdon, Miles Turner, Sabonis. That really doesn't impact Miles Turner, so if you want to take a stab at him, he burned a lot of people last game to get in foul trouble. Only played 14 minutes, but other than that, not too much interest here in the Pacers in terms of cash, but in GPPs, if you want to take a stab at them, feel free to do that. All right, now we're going to get to my favorite overall team to target. The Toronto Raptors have a ton of good plays. And the one thing I love about the Raptors in general is their minutes. They play a ton of minutes, especially their starters. So starting out with Fred VanVleet, I started him last game because I knew his ownership would be very, very low after he burned everybody in the past 3 games, and it's not even that he burned them. He just didn't hit his value. 26.75, 36.5, 35, and then he dropped a 50 bomb, which is the time I played him against the Chicago Bulls. So right now we have him going right back to the well here with 40 points, projected for 40 DK points. He comes out to a 21.1% ownership. Fred VanVleet checks all the boxes here. High pace contests, high usage, high minutes. He's just a safe overall play. I mean, even when he didn't do so hot in the past 2 games, he still got the value, and then he dropped a 50 bomb. So at 21.1%, if you land on Fred VanVleet as a last piece, I definitely don't hate that. I'm definitely not prioritizing VanVleet because of his price tag at $7,800. I think there's some more obvious plays, but Fred VanVleet is definitely cash viable. Anunoby at 36 projected minutes. We have him projected for slightly less DK points at 37. So if you guys just want to do the math here, comes out to a better value than Fred VanVleet. I like Anunoby here in cash. He's actually one of the guys I'm prioritizing in cash at a 6.5K price tag. Averaging over 1 fantasy point per minute at 36 projected minutes. Plays just as many minutes historically as Fred VanVleet in the starting lineup without Siakam. Showing right now 18.9%. I think he should be more higher owned than Fred VanVleet because he is cheaper and he does present great upside here. Those two are going to be cash viable. And then we're going to get to some more GPP options here with Scottie Barnes at 6K. Only averaging 0.85 fantasy points per minute here on the season. But one thing you love to see from Scottie Barnes in his rookie debut is that he is playing a ton of minutes. Right now we have him projected for 35 minutes, which is almost as much as Anunoby and Fred VanVleet. So, again, great spot there. Do like him more for GPPs. Definitely not cash viable in my opinion. And 2 other guys that have been crushing it. Let's talk about Precious Achiuwa, $4,900. Since he's been on this Toronto Raptors team, let's see if I can grab his fantasy points per minute. Yeah, he's averaging 1.08 fantasy points per minute. On Miami last season, he was only averaging 0.79. So just do the math here. Averaging 0.3 more fantasy points per minute here on this Toronto Raptors team. I do like him here in GPPs at $4,900, and he's still getting those minutes. Like I said, all these starters are getting guaranteed minutes. 33 and 29 minutes his past 2 contests. Comes out to a 6.33 point per dollar value. We have him projected for 31 DraftKings points. Also, one last guy I want to talk about is Gary Trent, another guy that just plays consistent minutes. Has been out there 32, 36, and 36 minutes. We have him projected for 17.5% ownership. I actually don't hate him as a last piece in cash, but just given his ownership, I do think he's more of a GPP option. Just a better overall play than a lot of these other value plays here on the slate. So I do like Gary Trent here at a 4.8K price tag with some great upside. All right, now moving down the list here for Minnesota and Milwaukee. Minnesota, nothing on this side other than maybe Anthony Edwards. He's just been balling out, has been hitting his price point every single time at $7,700 is guaranteed minutes. We have him projected for 35 minutes. But other than that, no real interest, just given the matchup here versus the Milwaukee Bucks. On the Bucks side, we have some more obvious cash options. Giannis is going to be your more obvious pay-up option on the slate at 10.6 or 10.8 rather. Anytime he's below 11 to 12K, we're going to hammer that play just because we know historically he's one of the best fantasy points per minute player in the entire NBA and definitely not priced up like he should be. Right now he's showing 28.1% ownership. We have him projected for 63.1 points. If he does play the entire game, this game is expected to be relatively competitive. The Bucks are only favored by 6 points, so this should be going back and forth, and Giannis should benefit here in terms of the matchup versus Karl-Anthony Towns. Some other options I do like here is Grayson Allen at $4,400. So far to start the season, he's averaging 0.95 fantasy points per minute, which is actually up from his average here when he played on Memphis. In Memphis, he was only averaging 0.8 fantasy points per minute. So he has been playing better here in this lineup here with the Bucks, getting 19.1, 18%, and 19.1% usage through his first 2 games here. Another thing to note is he's playing plenty of minutes. Right now he's showing 16.7% ownership, and I do consider him here as a viable last piece in cash. And last but not least, we have Bobby Portis, who is probable to play in this game. He was questionable last game and ended up sitting out. So if he does play, we're projecting him here at 24 minutes. Historically, averages 1.3 fantasy points per minute. I think 1.23 to 1.3 fantasy points per minute. If he does play 24 minutes, and he comes out to a 6.25 value, and I like him here at this ownership in a great matchup versus Minnesota. Going down the list here, we have the Lakers, and again, I'm not touching the Lakers until I know more news on Anthony Davis and LeBron James. If they do sit out, then yes, we have to revisit this team. I will pin the post in the YouTube comment section below. Going over to the Thunder. Thunder have a lot of mispriced guys. SGA is the most mispriced guy here on the slate, in my opinion. He went, so if you guys just want to take a look at his price tags, went from 6,800 to 8,100, back down to 7,100. They just can't figure him out. He's a very streaky shooter, but he shoots a lot, which is something you love to see. Volume shooters tend to do well in DFS, especially in the game where they have to keep this competitive. They are 8-point underdogs at home. Keep that in mind. So SGA is going to have to put up a lot of shots. If he's projected at 32 minutes right now, we have him projected at 37.76 points at 24.7% ownership. He's one of the more obvious cash options, in my opinion, here on the slate. Another guy that is pretty consistent in terms of the minutes here is going to be Lu Dort. I know he's not the best fantasy point per minute player, averaging 0.81 fantasy points per minute dating back to last season, but the minutes are there. The value's there at 4.5K. I'm not in love with him, but as a last piece in cash, definitely don't mind it at 23.3% ownership. And then we also have Josh Giddey, another guy they can't figure out in terms of the price tag. So let's take a look here. 4.7 all the way up to 5.8 last night, and then back down to 4.8. So don't know what's going on there with the price tag. 17.3% ownership. I consider him teetering on that line of GPP/cash. If you want to consider him as a last piece in cash, I don't hate that. Here we have him projected at 30.87 fantasy points, which projects to a 6.4 point per dollar value. Then moving down to the Sacramento Phoenix game, no interest in this game whatsoever. We have the price tag up here at De'Aaron Fox. For GPPs, he always has that great GPP upside because of the minutes of 35 projected minutes. And then on the Phoenix side, just literally no interest whatsoever. Chris Paul at $7,600. That's a little too expensive for my liking. This is a pace-up spot for them. Is really the only thing I'm considering here. DeAndre Ayton is a little bit cheap at $6,600. If you want to take a stab there, he will be very low owned just because of all the center options here on this slate. And then going down to the next more obvious team just as a whole to target. This is the highest over-under on the slate. And De'Anthony Melton is going to be the most obvious play on the slate at a 5K price tag. For the first time in his entire career, he's getting starter minutes here at 30 projected minutes, 28.5% ownership, and historically, he's a fantastic fantasy point per minute player. If we look back at his stats dating back to last season, he's averaging 1.06 fantasy points per minute. At projected 30 minutes, he should be at least priced at that 6 to 6.5K range. Right now, if you just take a look at all the games that he's played so far, he's hit value very, very easily. Again, projecting around those 30 minutes, 31.5, 35.75, and 27.25. To hit that price point of 5K, you have to get to 25 DK points. So, De'Anthony Melton needs to be a core piece in all of your lineups, in my opinion, even in GPPs. Jaren Jackson is another cash consideration. I'm not in love with the play just because of the minute upside. I want him to be playing more minutes and getting better usage. Right now, he's only averaging 21.2, 20.2, and 20.3% usage through his first 3 games. Just an okay play in my opinion. Desmond Bane, a lot of minutes there, but not a good fantasy point per minute player. I'm probably not going to be on him as much as I am in these other slates. And then Steven Adams is another guy I want to talk about. This season, he has been thriving as a starting center in Memphis. Let's actually take a look at his fantasy points per minute. So to start the season, 1.26 fantasy points per minute. I know it's only 92 minutes of sample size, but that's better than his historical average by far. So Steven Adams at a 5.3K price tag, if he's going to continue to play 30 plus minutes, we're not used to seeing him play 30 plus minutes in his stint there with the Pelicans. Right now, he's playing 32, 27, and 34, and he's easily hitting that price point of 5.3K. Honestly, he looks like a cash, obvious play to me, especially in this really pace-up spot versus the Portland Trailblazers. Last but not least, let's actually go to the Clippers. I want to skip over Portland and Cleveland. No real interest there. But with the Clippers, we have some value plays I want to pay attention to. Nick Batum, if he does start at 3.6K, not the best fantasy point per minute player, but he is very safe. If he does start and plays full out of minutes of 30 minutes, which hasn't happened yet, then yes, he's going to be carrying some ownership, and I really do like him here as a last piece. 3.6K, 0.75 fantasy points per minute here with the Clippers without Kawhi Leonard on the court. And then last but not least, here we have Hartenstein. Hartenstein finally saw the court last game, played 60 minutes his past 2 games. Historically, he's a 1.23 fantasy point per minute player, which can easily hit that price point if he does get some extended run. Right now, we have him projected for 20.32 points at 16.25 minutes and a 6.16 point per dollar value. Again, only GPP consideration here from Hartenstein, virtually carrying no ownership at 5.6 projected ownership. All right, now let's go to my lineup building process. If I had to build a lineup, who am I playing? Who are my core pieces? Let's actually take a look. If I am playing cash, first of all, or small GPPs, I'm locking in De'Anthony Melton. I'm also locking in Giannis because Giannis is going to be the most obvious pay-up option here on the slate. And I'm going right back to the well here. I just talked about Steven Adams. Let's go lock in Steven Adams. He's the most obvious play, in my opinion, here on the slate. And I also really like targeting the Toronto Raptors, specifically Anunoby at 6.5K. Again, just barely projected low lower than Van Vliet, but almost as many minutes. And then a huge price drop there with SGA. So I'm going back to the well with SGA. I played him 2 nights ago when he went ballistic. I guess I'm a little bit biased there, but he has to keep up with the Lakers. He's going to have to shoot a lot. Shot 19 times over his past 2 games, so definitely love to see that. Let's go ahead and crunch a lineup based on my projections. And again, these will change throughout the day, so let's see what it's given me. It's giving me a lineup of SGA, Gary Trent, which I don't mind, but that's more for GPP. Anobi, Wendell Carter Jr., okay, not bad. Wendell Carter Jr. has been playing consistent minutes, around 30 minutes. I could probably find a better center option there. And then Josh Giddey as the last piece. That's a pretty good lineup, guys. That's a very, very good lineup. Definitely more for GPPs, but again, all of my plays will change throughout the day. I will be posting my core on dgfantasy.com if you guys want to sign up for that. Also, TJ's core is posted on there, along with our favorite GPP options, cash options, and ownership projections. All right, now let's move over to my favorite prize pick entry here on the slate. If you guys haven't signed up for prize picks, first of all, what are you doing? Enter code using DGF for 100% match up to $100. When you are signing up on prize picks, you simply hit the over or under on any certain fantasy projection. We have all of our projections put in to our optimizer here and on our cheat sheets. So you guys can just look at that and then simply hit the over under of any of these projections. 46 for James Harden right now. I'm going to hit the over on that. I know we didn't talk about these guys too much, but right now we have them projected for 53 DraftKings points at a 10K price tag. Doesn't make too much sense to play him in DraftKings compared to Giannis at 10.8, but I do like the over here of 46 fantasy points. Let's go ahead and hit the over on James Harden here. And that will wrap up my video, guys. Hopefully you did enjoy this video. If you did, please do hit that subscription button, notification bell, and of course, smash that like button for all of our future NBA content. With all that being said, have a great rest of your day, and let's cash.